Nintendo Switch had their 7th birthday over the weekend, and one thing it got me to thinking about was how the 7 years have gone. And looking ahead, do we like how the 7 years have gone? Now, I'm not talking about the quality of the system, the fun of the games, the excitement, and the moments that we've had. I think it's safe to say this is Nintendo's best or almost best library of all time. It's pretty hard to argue that it's anything other than number one or number two. But what about the way in which it went? Because it did go a very specific way. Nintendo opted to blow their load very early by releasing the major installments of their major IP in the first few years of Nintendo Switch. And in hindsight, maybe they front-loaded too much. And I want to get your thoughts on it and give you mine. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hope you're doing fantastic out there. No matter what year it is, memory cards are a big deal. Well, this one's a small deal, but it's small but mighty. The Lexar Play card is the very best Nintendo Switch memory card on the market. It has powered me through all the years of Nintendo Switch and will continue to do so wherever this system takes us. So make sure to click the link in the description down below. These cards have actually gotten faster recently, so it's even speedier to save, speedier to load, better, bestest, greatest. Click the link in the description down below. Every time you do, it helps support the channel, and I love those folks over at Lexar. Good people, great memory card. Now, it did start off great for Nintendo Switch. You can't argue that. Launching with Mario Kart, launching with Zelda, shortly after getting Splatoon and ARMS and Mario Odyssey. The next year, getting even more big entries. We end up with Smash Brothers and Animal Crossing and Pokemon Mainline and all of these games within the first few years of the Nintendo Switch's existence. And in the moment, it felt awesome. It felt great. It was like, whoa, we're getting Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We've already got a Mario Kart on this system. We're getting a Mario Odyssey, a big 3D Mario. We got amazing, crazy new Zelda. And as the years went on, the expectations were, okay, it's going to take a while for the next big Zelda. It's going to take a while for the next 2D Zelda. It's going to take a while for the next 3D Mario. And as the years have progressed, many of those nexts have not come. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is kind of an anomaly, being a second major entry on Nintendo Switch. Only a few other games hold that same value. Splatoon got a 2 at the beginning and a 3 down the road. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in the beginning, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 down the road. Many of the other top titles like Mario Odyssey, like Mario Kart, like the Mario sports games, like Animal Crossing, like Super Smash Brothers, they didn't get a whole bunch of entries. Pokemon did. They get way more than a couple entries. But was that the right move? And in reviewing the first year games, I went back and played Mario Odyssey this weekend, did a stream of it. It was so fun. The game holds up so darn well. I could not believe that a year one Switch game looked, played, and felt so great 7 years later. And it made me wonder if Nintendo should maybe restructure their release cadence for the Switch 2. Now, I really want to know how you think about this, because I'm not saying they should have less games, but is the order important? Was it right to bombard us with all the heavy hitters at the beginning and then leave sort of the smaller titles that come out after? Tears of the Kingdom aside, it's pretty hard to argue that since Animal Crossing New Horizons launched in 2020, it's been a slower pace of tentpole titles. Yes, we've gotten some really awesome, really fun, really great games, and even some big entries like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and of course the aforementioned Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We got a remixed Mario Party, we got a new 2D Mario, we got a bunch more Mario Sports and Mario remake type titles. A Luigi's Mansion remake is coming out, Peach gets her own game. Strangely, we're missing Donkey Kong, something I'll never understand, but Nintendo did undeniably put their biggest guns forward. And we've been left then without those big guns for a long time. Typically, you only get these big guns once per generation, the Animal Crossings, the Smash Brothers, the Mario Karts. And having them all at the start was a great beginning, but I do feel like it's left the few remaining years lackluster. And I wonder if some of the conversations around a Switch 2, a better Switch, a new Switch, aren't just because of the power, the specs, and the hardware. Like, yes, that's a big deal, but I wonder if subconsciously there's a bit of a feeling that we're not getting these new entries until a new system comes out. And because those last entries were so long ago, it makes the wait feel more grueling. We know that in year 6 of Nintendo Switch 1, they ain't giving us a new 3D Mario. We know in year 7 of Nintendo Switch 1, we're not getting a new Mario Kart. Now, Nintendo has bridged the gap quite excellently with some things like the Mario Kart Course Booster Pass. That was really nice. They added Bowser's Fury to Mario 3D World, giving that extra flair and filling the gap. They brought out a ton of other smaller titles that fans were really excited about, like new Pokemon Snap, and they've made good on a lot of the promises of a really full generation packed with content and a diversity of games in genres, scope, evolution, etc. Mario Wonder being one of the most recent examples of taking 2D Mario really to the next level. This isn't about quality, it's instead about order. And does that even matter to you? Because for me, it kind of does matter. I'm somebody that doesn't replay games, so you got to consider that. So for me, the era of Smash Brothers has been over for a while. The era of Animal Crossing has been over for a while. I know that there's some people that continue to play these games evergreen, and that's great, but for me, I kind of do think Nintendo maybe should have spaced things out. It hurt primarily because of the Wii U. The Wii U was such a lackluster system, such a disappointment in sales, that they ended up needing to take those games and capitalize on those investments with Nintendo Switch. So Mario Kart 8 Deluxe gets brought to Switch and released there and becomes the Mario Kart. You know, maybe if the Wii U had been more successful, the Switch would have been pushed a little bit more. Maybe we would have gotten a new Mario Kart. Maybe Mario Odyssey would have been a cross-gen title and we would have got a new Mario. So I do think that some of this is just a product of the Wii U being kind of a failure. But in general, Nintendo saw so much success with this strategy, they may choose to employ it once again. Think about something as simple as a 2D Zelda. We got Link's Awakening very early on in the console's life cycle, and we haven't been back since. We've been peppered with remakes and remasters, and that's another factor that is different this era than previously in Nintendo's past console generations. The remake, the remaster, the HD upgrade, those are all such an important part and piece of any company's arsenal these days. You're going to get more of those. So that means that it's even more important and even more impactful when the big releases happen. And yes, Nintendo, trust me, they've still done a great job of peppering in Kirby and the Forgotten Land and these extra games that are not their hugest hitters but have still done super well. Metroid Dread, great example, overperformed, awesome game, epic. They fill their calendar well. But imagine if Smash Bros came out in 2023. Imagine if Mario Kart came out in 2018, 2019. Imagine if this year we were looking forward to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I know, this is a very long generation, but just consider if the big titles were more spaced, better spaced, you might say, would the Switch have been a more enjoyable ride? Does it matter if it's front-loaded? Maybe not. Maybe you space it out. Maybe you don't play everything on day one, and I think that's sort of part of where I'm a bit jaded. Doing this YouTube thing, being the kind of Nintendo fan that I am, I got to play everything day one. So I'm playing it day one, and then I'm on to the next thing. And I bet there's some of you that have stayed with some of these games since they came out. But for me, it's like, Pikmin 4, that was the big thing of last year because that was the big new game, and we hadn't had an entry in Pikmin since the Wii U. Will Nintendo employ the same strategy? It sure seems like it. They now are on a cadence where, do they want to wait 10 years between Mario Karts? Do they want to wait 10 years between Smash Brothers? By virtue of putting all of these titles at the front end of Nintendo Switch, the expectation is now that they will give them to us early on Switch 2. And I think it would cause a kerfluffle if they didn't. If we're waiting till 2027 for Mario Kart 9, that's going to feel weird. But it would reset the timing so that maybe not all of these games come out at the beginning. I think they had to leverage all of their strongest IP to ensure the Switch was successful to continue forward and to try to go back on an upward trajectory. They did that. Do they need to do it again? Frankly, I think they can get away with not doing it. I think they'll save a big Zelda till later in the console lifecycle because of Tears of the Kingdom. And that already makes this more interesting. Mario should come right at the beginning. It's been far too long without 3D Mario, and after the joy I had playing Odyssey after 7 years, man, give us more of that soon. But a game like Smash Brothers, especially given how big Smash Bros. Ultimate is, maybe we can wait a few years on that. A game like Mario Kart, given the Course Booster Pass doubling the size of the game, I hate to say it, but maybe we can wait. Maybe Animal Crossing is a game that should come early because there's so much fervor around that title, given that they sort of dropped off development and didn't have a Course Booster Pass, if you will. Maybe that should come early. I think there's a way Nintendo can absolutely schedule this with increased third-party support to make it not feel lackluster, but instead feel more full. And I do feel like a part of the Nintendo Switch malaise that has set in for some people, not all. I know some are perfectly happy and love the releases and love the games, and I really appreciate the releases too. Like, I am so pumped for Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. But I just can't help but wonder if they had reorganized things, maybe my Switch 2 fever wouldn't be so high. Maybe the thermometer would be a little bit cooler, because I know, like, okay, we just had a huge gun. We just had a huge release. We just had a huge tentpole franchise that we were waiting so deep into the console lifecycle for. I don't know. I think it's interesting to think about, and it just really hit me with Nintendo Switch's 7th birthday that, you know what, they front-loaded the heck out of that console. And with more third-party support, I think it'll give them the space to continuously and consistently release Nintendo first-party titles, but to release them maybe in more sequence, in more groups, right? Like, we don't have to have Mario, Zelda, Smash Bros, Splatoon, and Mario Kart in Group A. We could have Animal Crossing, Mario, Star Fox, and Donkey Kong in Group A. Still an awesome Group A. Then we could have, freaking Kirby and Pikmin and Splatoon and a new IP in Group B. And then Group B is a little weaker, but Group C comes in hard with Zelda and Smash Bros. And you're like, wow, that's like a great mid-generation oomph. You'll be curious to see what they do. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, everybody. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.